So the title of the webinar, of course, is Filling Curriculum Gaps After a Science Adoption, Practical Strategies for Science Leaders and Educators. All right, so we're just going to introduce ourselves to you so you know who we are and where we're coming from. So Karen, if you would like to go first.
Thank you, Carrie. My name is Karen Summerhauser, and I live in the Austin area in Texas, specifically Round Rock ISD. And I am Round Rock, Texas. Sorry, and I'm a former science teacher for the high school level and middle school level. And my last 10 years of teaching were in Round Rock ISD in Texas. Carrie?
Yeah, so my name is Carrie Richmond. I actually live in southwestern Virginia near the Bristol area. I was a middle and high school science teacher, just like Karen, for 15 years. I also did a little bit of a stint as a math and science coordinator for the West Virginia Board of Education. My years of teaching were done in West Virginia. So we'll go ahead and get started with our content now. So by the end of this session, here's your key takeaways for today. You will recognize common gaps that emerge after that new science standards adoption or materials adoption that you have. You'll learn strategies to select supplemental resources, to evaluate those and get those high quality resources for you. See examples of multimedia and lab resources and how they can actually address that missing content and those skills for you. Understand how AI powered tools can save time and walk away with actionable ideas that can hopefully save you some time. So, why this topic actually matters. So, let's say that, and we're going to ask you this here in just a minute. If you went through a recent state science standards adoption, sometimes the materials that you have, you don't get new materials, but you get new standards, and you've got some gaps that are happening there. So, your core materials don't address all those requirements that you need. So that leads to the challenge of teachers are now scrambling to fill those instructional gaps without overloading your planning time. So you're trying to find those supplemental resources to use to bridge those gaps without having to redo your entire curriculum. Okay, so we have a poll. So, how recently has your school or district adopted new science curriculum? If you'll make one of those selections, so that'll give us a little bit of insight as to where you are. Okay, so it looks like 1 to 3 is about where we are for most part. Give it just another second or so. Okay, so it looks like about 1 to 3 years ago, but for most people. Excuse me. All right, now we do have a chat question as well. And for the chat question, we would like to know if your state has had a recent science curriculum adoption. And if you have, drop the name of your state in the chat. So if you've had a recent science curriculum adoption, drop the name of your state in the chat, please. All right, so Florida, Texas, Maine, Delaware. Recent meaning, within those 1 to 3 years is a good time frame. Texas
Yep.
did change their standards. Yep.
Yeah.
Iowa, Massachusetts. Okay. So it looks like a
Yes.
lot of you folks have went through some recent changes. So you're probably looking for something to help supplement your curriculum to bridge those gaps. All right, so curriculum gaps are going to exist in all timelines, not just because you've had a recent adoption. So if you take a look at this comparison here, with recent adoptions, let's say within these 1 to 3 years, you've adopted new curriculum. Your materials may not fully address all your new content areas. You may have started teaching an environmental science class and you don't have core materials for those, so you're looking for something to be able to teach that class. Missing or limited coverage of science and engineering practices. Those SCPs are very popular now, so you have to make sure those are covered as well. Incomplete lab resources for updated skills requirements. This was a huge one for me when I was teaching in the classroom because I was always looking for more labs to do. I always felt like what resources were provided to me with my curriculum just wasn't enough, or it wasn't enough of a variety.
I
Weak
agree.
alignment, yeah, yeah, weak alignment to new assessment formats.
Mhm.
Assessments are changing sometimes monthly, just depending on what needs to be addressed and, what students need help with certain content areas. Lack of differentiation options for diverse learners. This is huge. You've got kids with IEPs and 504s. You've got to make sure that you get those differentiation options in there for them. So for mature adoptions, sometimes you are going to offer new courses like AP courses, and they're not fully supported with what you have. So you're looking for something to help with those AP courses. Shifts in assessments or performance expectations. That happens all the time.
Mhm.
Outdated examples that don't reflect current science. Science changes. New things happen. We find new discoveries. And, if you have older materials, sometimes they're a little outdated. Need for more engaging or tech integrated materials. If it's been a long time since you've had an adoption, you probably don't have the digital resources that you need. And so you're looking for supplemental resources to bridge that gap for sure. Staff turnover impacting curriculum continuity. This can be a huge problem whenever you have somebody, let's say, that decides, hey, I want to go back to medical school, and they've decided to do that and they leave, and so now you've got a substitute in there that's teaching until they can get a new teacher hired. So you need something to help that teacher out as far as the curriculum is going. So no matter the timeline, you're always going to have to be finding some supplemental resources to help with your curriculum. Okay. Okay. So, some common post adoption gaps: missing or underdeveloped content areas. So, you're missing some topics there. Limited lab or skills based activities. So, your hands on components are lacking. Insufficient rigor for advanced or AP courses. And then few differentiation options for varied learners. So, these gaps are going to affect your student readiness and, of course, your teacher workload for sure. So, seeing this, the need for supplemental materials is going to arise for you. Okay, we've got another poll. So, which type of curriculum gap has the biggest impact on your science program right now? Which one of these do you think has the most impact on your program right now? And I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew
so did
I
I.
knew that was going to be the top. I knew that was going to be the top one.
Yes. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Carrie, but that's what I was mostly looking for when I was teaching science.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So over half of you, 53% are saying, "Yep, it was lab-based or skill-based activities for sure." So here's a tool that we have come up with for you for evaluating supplemental resources, and we will share this with you so that you'll be able to download this and have it, I think, as a PDF. So it's a rubric that you can use based on these criteria to evaluate your supplemental resources. So, criteria: standards alignment, whether it's your state standards, whether it's national standards, whether it's AP standards. So, you're looking at, is there a strong alignment? Is there an adequate alignment? Is there a needs improvement? Content quality and accuracy. Student engagement. Huge, huge, huge here. And it's harder and harder every day to keep them engaged. Accessibility and differentiation. Again, this is huge. And then ease of use for you, for teachers. So you can take this and you can adapt it to whatever your particular school or district needs are. But it's important that you use a decision making tool and you use it consistently across different curriculum, across different whatever you're adopting, whether it be supplemental materials or core materials. It's important to have that continuity so that you are going to have a consistent evaluation that will ensure a quality product for you to be able to use in your classroom, and not just say, well, this is the new bright and shiny thing and everybody's adopting it, so maybe we should too. It's important that you go through those criteria and you really check and see, hey, this is what we're looking at, this is what we want, and this is what we need. Okay, so one of those areas, and like you said, it was the number one, and we kind of preempted that. We kind of knew that was going to happen, is labs and skills. So let's say you're looking for supplemental videos to help support your labs. Labs, of course, are very critical. So I don't know about you, you can probably relate to this. In my classroom, I relied heavily assessment wise on lab performance. Yes. Did I give tests? Of course I did. Everybody has to give tests. Did I really base my students' knowledge on their test results? No, I didn't. What I based their knowledge on was whether they could perform that lab and do it well. That told me that they have the capability to take the knowledge that I've been trying to teach them and apply it in a lab setting. So that told me that, hey, they know what they're doing, they're learning, they're actually doing something. And so even at the beginning of my course, I told them that 70% of their grade was lab. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah. They were like, you're not just going to give us a bunch of tests all the time? I said, no, I want to do labs. That's what science is. That's how you learn, is doing labs. So here's an example of different videos. You've got support for lab readiness. So let's say you need a video on how to use a microscope, or lab safety, or experimental design. These are all things, of course, that you can teach them through a lecture standpoint, but sometimes that video gives them the connection that they need to see it visually and really say, hey, I get it now. This is how we're supposed to do. This is how this works. This is what we're supposed to do. Pre-lab video demos to maximize hands-on time. This is something I didn't have when I was teaching, and I wish I had it, because a lot of times I spent so much time going over what materials you need, what the procedures are. By the time we actually got to the lab to get started doing the lab, after they got their materials and everything, we maybe had 20 minutes, and I'm like, I don't even want to start the lab now because we get into it and we can't do it. So usually I had to spend an entire class period or block going over materials, procedures, what the lab was going to look like, what it was going to be about. And then the next day they would come in and actually do the lab. So with these videos, that could help, because that would save you time. You could have them watch it the night before, and then that way they know what's expected of them when they come in, and they can just get the materials and get started on the lab and get ready to go. And then solutions for schools with limited lab access. There's a lot of labs that I couldn't do because I didn't have the materials for it, or I didn't have access to what I needed. For example, when I first started teaching at a high school in West Virginia, I didn't have lab tables. I had desks. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? And so I made it work for about a year. And then I begged and pleaded with my administration to buy me lab tables, and they did. So the following year, that worked out really well for me. But at the same time, my classroom was not really set up as a science classroom with a lab. It was more so for like PE or health, or, like social studies, something like that. I had no gas and I had no water. So I had to buy my own water, my distilled water and everything. And then I didn't have gas, so I couldn't use Bunsen burners. So I bought little chafing fuel cans like they used to heat food in buffets and use those. And that worked out pretty well. But again, if you don't have what you need to do certain labs, that doesn't mean that they can't still experience it. So you can find these videos that actually show you what the lab is like and students performing the lab, so that they can see that themselves. So, okay, so now we're going to show you a video of an actual lab that we have available.
Life, from the largest organisms to the most minuscule, is comprised of cells. Cells are the building blocks for life and provide the materials needed for life to exist. While cells from all walks of life contain structures that are similar, such as DNA and protein, there are two different cell types based on how such structures are organized internally.
What you saw there was a video that was on cell structure. And the video had several components to it. It has a concept component that introduces it to the student. It has an instructor component, and then it has a student protocol component as well. And we have one more video, and this video is on a Bunsen burner.
A Bunsen burner is a laboratory instrument that can be used to provide a single, continuous flame by mixing gas with air in a controlled fashion. The ratio of gas to air that is mixed together can be manually adjusted, allowing the user to control the intensity, temperature, and size of the flame. The flame can then be used to heat or sterilize laboratory reagents and equipment.
So this is a perfect example for me because this was a gap for me. I didn't have gas. I couldn't use Bunsen burners. Did they still need to know how to use it for when they got to chemistry? Absolutely. So I would still show them this video and say, hey, this is a Bunsen burner. This is how it works. This is what it looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have gas in here, so we can't use them. But when you get to chemistry, in the chemistry lab, you will have access to gas and you will be using them. So this video addressed a gap that I had in my classroom, and it did help. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Karen, and she's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. So next, what we're going to be talking about is supporting advanced and AP courses. A lot of high schools are constantly searching for supplemental curriculum to support their advanced and AP courses. So they need higher rigor and authentic research examples. The research, authentic primary resources and case studies that usually that you have to pay for to access those. Also, they're looking for supplemental resources that are aligned to the College Board and AP standards, as well as state standards. And then you also need enrichment and extension strategies as well for those advanced and AP courses. And some of the courses that Jove supports is anatomy, physiology. We have an astronomy, nursing, engineering, pharmaceuticals, AP courses, statistics, and many more. So the need for higher rigor and research examples. So you need authentic and primary sources for research for students in these advanced courses. And the research portion can come in with enrichment and extension. So you could use it as a PBL project, send your students off to research a certain topic, and then they can use that as an enrichment and extend that lesson for those advanced students. Many districts struggle to find high-level AP material and other advanced science courses. Core textbooks and programs often stop at the basics needed for standard level courses, leveling gaps in rigor, providing depth in those courses. So there's not a lot of depth or detail to those courses. So a lot of the times these teachers that are teaching these advanced courses and AP courses are struggling to find more details and more depth to get those students learning on that high level. And also they're missing real world applications and also up-to-date science content as well, because as Carrie mentioned before, science is a constant organism that's continually building and growing, and we're always finding new things. We're also, updating old things in science. So to enrich these students in these advanced courses and AP courses, they need to enrich their existing curriculum and extend it beyond required state standards. So for example, some enrichment strategies to deepen understanding for these students would be primary literature analysis. So they could go in and read and discuss research articles connected to course topics. Another example of an enrichment would be advanced data interpretation using authentic data sets. So you could give students a bunch of data on a certain topic that you're teaching in class at that time and have them go in groups, for example, and then they can discuss the data and analyze it and then maybe present it to the class. Students can also research case studies to apply concepts to real-world concepts. So case studies that university professors have conducted can help with the real-world concepts for students. So it allows them to see how that topic that you're teaching in class at that time can be used in the real world, as well as career opportunities. You could also enrich students with learning with structured debates on scientific ethics and policy. And also, all of these enrichment strategies are cross-curricular into math and engineering and ELA. And then extension strategies that take students beyond the standard course scope and sequence would be independent research projects and experiments. So having students with a PBL project or a STEM project that goes along with what you're teaching in your advanced or AP courses can help students really strengthen their learning on that topic. Capstone presentations of student-designed investigations. So you could have students design an investigation based around a real-world problem in science these days. And then they can go and they do all the research and find out what the solutions would be, and then you could have them present it as their research as a capstone presentation. Participation in STEM competitions or science fairs is also another great extension thing that you could do with your students in your advanced and AP courses. Community-based science partnerships for fieldwork and citizen science projects. This can go along with also what they could do as a career if they're really interested in science. Getting the students out there and learning from the actual scientists in their field to get them excited and also enrich their learning. Bringing in guest speakers or mentors from STEM fields. So you could bring in somebody from a local science facility that you have in your community and have them come and talk to your students. And that could also pique their interest and also enriches and extends their learning in your class. And these strategies not only prepare for AP exams and college level science, but also help develop critical thinking, communication, and problem solving skills that sets it apart. Next slide, please. And so we have a video. We're going to be showing, this is a lab protocol video that explains how to conduct an experiment on how to measure and active enzymes that microbes release into the water. These enzymes are what help break down matter into nutrients that are used in the ecosystems.
The overall goal of the following procedure is to rapidly assay microbial extracellular enzyme activity in a variety of natural environments. This is achieved by adding samples of water or soil slurries to microplates to yield adequate replication. As a second step, artificial colorimetric or fluorometric substrate is added to the microplate wells, which allows for enzymatic reactions to occur.
Then we have another video that is about fruit fly behavior. And scientists, this is a famous in science, studying fruit fly behavior. And the reason why we study fruit fly behavior is to see how they respond to light, heat, or smells, and so forth. And so we'll watch this video.
The overall goal of this procedure is to demonstrate methods of examining Drosophila motor, sensory, and coordination behaviors. This is accomplished by first assessing larval motor function using the crawling assay, assessing adult motor function using the ring assay, and assessing adult coordination and sensory abilities with the courtship assay.
Thank you. So the next what we're going to talk about is integrating AI and multimedia into your curriculum. So videos are very helpful in any part of the lesson. It can be in the engage piece. I'm talking about the 5E model. It can be in the engage piece. It could be in the middle. It could be all the way at the explain. Using multimedia in your classroom helps grab all different types of learner styles. You have your visual and your auditory, and so videos will help with that. And then they help explain complex concepts in science as well, which differentiating learning styles. So AI tools, so you take those multimedia plus the AI tools that can help with teacher time and taking a lot off your plate, being able to develop a 5E model lesson plan within seconds, as well as worksheets and quizzes and slide presentations. I know that would be wonderful. I wish I had that when I was teaching. I know Carrie didn't have that when she was teaching either. It would have saved so much time. And it also supports teachers, but they're still also the experts in their classroom and in their subject. So AI isn't going to replace the teacher in the classroom. It's just tools, and the multimedia are just tools to help enhance the teaching for the teacher and engage those students. So AI can do several different things. It can help create editable science lesson plans and worksheets and slides that align with your state standards and AP courses. It can help with building a lesson plan based on the 5E model, and then certain pieces of the 5E model can be enhanced by using those multimedia tools to enhance student learning and engagement. Because I don't know about you, I know that we are all with TikTok generation these days, and so they're just used to seeing those very short videos that explain things. And so having those kind of tools into the classroom, you're catering to those students that what they do in their free time. So that will help engage them in your classroom. And then lesson plans are created within seconds. I can't even imagine. I remember it took me so long to do a lesson plan, even for one day in a lesson plan. Sometimes it took a lot because it was a lab, or if I was doing a STEM project or a PBL project, that took so much time to create all the lesson plans and get all the materials ready. So being able to use AI in the classroom saves teachers so much time, and then will allow you more time to focus on your students. So for example, if you have a video of cell structure, an AI can generate worksheet or a quiz with several different question types. That would be amazing to be able to have that in your classroom. And so it all ties into ready to use materials. So using the multimedia tools along with the AI will help you with your saving time in the classroom, giving you more time to engage with your students and ensure that they are learning along the way and along with your lesson. And it'll save so much time. Next. So we're gonna watch a little video about a lesson plan being created with AI based on the 5E model. So here you can see that you can pick it by subject and what standard and even a specific topic. And then within seconds, it generates a 5E model lesson plan with embedded tools along the way. And as you can see, there was a video at the beginning and engage, and then there was a video at the end for explain.
Can't imagine getting a lesson plan in seconds.
Oh,
It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. I know, right? And doing
Right.
a 5E model lesson plan with that as well, and plugging in all that information. I mean, what I saw on that video just there would take me hours before.
Mm-hmm.
Hours. And to have that in seconds, I can't even
Right.
imagine. So we have another poll question for you. What would be most helpful to you when supplementing your science curriculum? So I'm seeing the two most popular are standard online quizzes and assessments and project-based learning activities and worksheets. So that's what most of you have added, and I believe that's pretty much what we figured what would be the answer. Standard aligned quizzes with multiple question types, not just multiple choice questions. And then also with the the project-based learning and STEM activities. So next we're going to talk about implementation tips. So one, you're going to start small before scaling large. So even the smallest adjustments to your implementation plan can have a huge impact. It doesn't have to be large. So using a phased approach instead of a full-scale rollout at once, you should consider starting with a pilot program or limited setting. This allows you to test the new materials and identify any issues before expanding. Also, you need to share resources via PLCs or district drives. So having centralized resources so teachers can access them easily. And you also need to build collaboration time for teachers to share what's working and feedback for your district's adopted science curriculum. It's important to involve all stakeholders with the implementation. Engage the teachers, your coaches, your administrators from the beginning to build enthusiasm and ensure the implementation plan is realistic. And creating a communication plan during the implementation is very important. So develop a strategy for communicating milestones and status updates for different groups. Ongoing communication helps build trust and commitment. Gathering feedback to refine the approach. So gathering feedback on your implementation of your science curriculum is also very important, because that's another way to find those gaps that you have in the curriculum that you core curriculum that you currently have, so that you can start looking for a supplement to fill those gaps. So you need to provide also sustained professional development along with your curriculum to ensure good usage and that all the teachers understand what they're using. Go beyond those initial workshops. Have ongoing content-specific training that models the new instructional approach and is embedded into a system of continuous support. Collect and use the data effectively, so all the feedback data that you have, and gather both quantitative and qualitative data from test scores. So also you want to see how the students are learning based on the test scores. So if you have district benchmarks, you can use those test scores to see how well that curriculum is going in your classrooms, and to also monitor progress and guide next steps. Communication that is data and for support and is important. Also, you need to anticipate the implementation dip. Be prepared for challenges and a temporary drop in performance at the beginning of an implementation, because teachers aren't used to the curriculum at first. So you give them a little time to get into the groove of the new curriculum, especially in Texas. I'm going to plug this one in, where they changed all the science TEKS. And so all the teachers had to start all over again, especially in the middle schools in Texas. And so you got to give it time when you're implementing new curriculum, and allow those teachers to dive in and get over the humps and the bumps and be able to really fully implement it based on communication, all the feedback, and then do progress monitoring with the assessments to see how well students are learning and engaged with the new science curriculum and keep them motivated.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Kara, but I think it really takes about a year to get used to a new curriculum and see how it's going to work and to identify those gaps.
I definitely agree. It takes about a year, and I think by about year 2, end of year 2, beginning of year 3 is when they're really comfortable. Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. So key takeaways recap. So you have gaps that happen after any adoption. It's not just you, it's not just your district. It happens everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a recent adoption or a mature adoption. You evaluate supplements with clear criteria. So be sure that you have a clear rubric to evaluate your supplemental curriculum to make sure that it's a correct fit for your district. Then also labs, multimedia, and AI can help fill those gaps efficiently. So those gaps can help create lesson plans, worksheets, presentation slides, and quizzes quickly, as well as PBL and STEM projects and extensions and enrichment for your classes as well. And then keep teacher usability and student engagement central. It's super important to prioritize teacher usability and student engagement, because we can't get away from the TikTok generation. So you got to keep those engaged. And I know that teachers are constantly turning on a dime to keep those students engaged. So you need to embrace communication practices with teachers to encourage open discussion and learning outcomes. Including teachers in the communication helps build meaningful connections with the students and the community. A collaborative professional culture that models a growth mindset over assigning shortcomings is vital to teacher engagement. So I just want to reassure that even a small targeted changes can make a huge impact in your curriculum implementation. Changes that have an impact don't always have to be big. Small changes can have a lasting and big impact to your curriculum and student learning. So next we'll go into questions section. So if you have any questions, please pop those into the chat so that we can answer those for you. If anybody has questions, we have a few seconds. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about previously, what Carrie talked about, any of your curriculum gaps, any question that you may have. How do we access Jove resources? Is it a paid subscription? Great question, Myra. So in order to have Jove as your resource, it is a supplemental curriculum and it is a paid subscription, and it's based on sites. And we do have multiple site discounts and also multi-year discounts as well. I'd be happy to send you more information about that. And is there free access to Jove? Yes, you can have a free trial, but it's a limited access. It doesn't show you everything during the trial. Another question, Jove is available for schools only. Is there another resource that we can use other than that? Not really sure what you mean. Do you work at a school district? Curtis? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Carrie, do you happen to have any ideas what he's asking?
Unless he works like in the medical field or at a college or a university, and yes, we do have subscriptions for those as well.
Yes, and great collection of free STEM.
Well, thank you. Hey, that's how we use our people. Somebody answered for us. Thanks. So one question is, how can district leaders know if their new core materials truly cover the latest science standards? Well, the best approach for that is to map your core resources directly with your standards and those performance expectations. That way you find out what topics are missing, if you have weak lab coverage or gaps in those SEPs as well. And that's why a lot of schools develop a supplemental resource bank of materials to fill those areas so that they don't have to overhaul the entire program. It's really about making sure that those needs are addressed in the easiest way possible instead of having to bring a bunch of teachers together and rewrite an entire curriculum. It says, yeah, we're having issues with the rubric.
No, not at the same page, not found.
There we go. Okay, it says you can also access the resource in the Teaching Next Generation Standards community, and there's a link there.
Thank you. And another question is, what are the most common curriculum gaps that appear after new state standards adoption? Districts typically find 4 areas. They find missing or underdeveloped topics, as Carrie talked about previously. limited labs and skills-based activities, which we also talked about. So you can't, that is one of the most common, which we already discussed and had a poll question on. So finding those labs and those PBL projects and filling those gaps in your curriculum. Insufficient rigor for all of your AP or advanced courses. So the curriculum that you've adopted for your high schools and you have advanced classes and it's missing, that depth and rigor for those students. And then also a lack of differentiation for diverse learners. So you have, your students with 504s and IEPs that need differentiation in order for them to be learning. So we have another question. Do you have an assessment rubric to identify the gaps in curriculum which we can use in classrooms? So for your core curriculum, we don't have a rubric for your core curriculum. That's something normally that your district would have when they go through an adoption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's usually something that teachers get together and build themselves to assess if there's any gaps based on your standards that your district or your school are using. But you can always use ChatGPT. you can always use you can always use AI. So
Yep.
you're welcome. Let's see, Shauna said it was okay. Are these resources mostly for high schools and higher? So the resources that we have, and we're getting ready to talk about us here in just a minute, but as far as the resources we have go, we're for middle and high schools. So grades 6 through 12, we have videos for those. And then we do have higher ed videos as well. It's a separate platform than what we work with, but we do have higher ed resources too. So pretty much grades 6 through adult resources are available for you. So with that, I guess we could go ahead and hop into who we are, talk a little bit about who we are. So Jove, excuse me, creates scientifically accurate, engaging videos and resources to simplify STEM education. So why would you consider Jove? One big problem all teachers have is engagement. Always. It's difficult to keep a kid engaged for more than, I would say, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. It's about their attention span. So we have captivating videos, we have quizzes, we have multilingual access. You can boost those outcomes. So we are proven to improve comprehension and test scores. And then we are now incorporating AI into our platform where you can automatically generate worksheets, you can do lesson plans, you can get slides from our videos, and all of our videos are aligned to NGSS, to multiple state standards. We're adding more of those almost on a weekly basis, AP, and like I said, those state standards. So it makes it STEM learning easy, impactful, and accessible for all learners. So our role in STEM education: lab preparation. So ensuring students understand concepts before experiments. So you want to use those videos and do those pre-labs and have them watch those videos in preparation for the lab. So whenever they come in, they're ready to go. They know what's expected of them. They know what materials they need to get and they can do it. Differentiation. So supporting students who need additional guidance. You've got equitable support here. You've got multi-language. You can speed up videos. You can slow them down. You've got written descriptions and transcripts. You've got visual with closed captioning. You've got custom quizzes as well. And then lab efficiency. You're reducing that setup time while maintaining that student engagement. So you can assign it out, whatever your LMS is, assign that video out to watch before they do the lab. And so that way, when they come in, they're ready to go and you don't have to waste time. So what can Jove be used for? So short animated concept, like visually simplifying the most challenging topics in under 2 minutes. So that's our concept videos. Our concept videos really focus in on what you're trying to teach the student and to make that connection visually for them in under 2 minutes. Lab activities, you've got step-by-step guides, demonstrations, and materials lists. These are not virtual labs, folks. These are real hands-on labs that you can do with your students. They have a concept overview, about what the lab's about. They have teacher preparation in there for you. It gives you your objectives and gives you your setup. And then it has a student protocol portion that is the video that shows them the lab before they're actually going to do it. Science experiments will bring real world experiments into the classroom. It'll also focus on the theories and the methods behind the science. Now, these videos are a little bit longer because they do actually go in and really focus in on the science. But there's a lot of different topics that you can look at too, including environmental science there. Curriculum alignment, short videos mapped to standards in textbooks. So depending on if you decide that you would want to purchase us, you can get your syllabus mapped to our curriculum, or we can take whatever book you're using and we can take that textbook and map our product to that textbook so that you can have that alignment done. And then brand new is the AI powered prep. So prep wants to instantly differentiate for any level of student support. So you can go in, there's going to be a button that you can click. It'll say generate a lesson plan, generate a quiz, generate anything using AI. So that's going to be there for you too. So what subjects Jove covers? There's a lot. So there's physical science, there's life science, there's environmental, earth and space, engineering, geology, biology, astronomy, botany, and this is just a few, folks. We've got over 18,000 videos. Lots of videos here for you. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Karen, and she's going to do a short demo.
All right, so what you're looking at right now is the landing page for Jove for middle schools and high schools. And you can see that we have high school and middle school content. And then this is an example of some of the subjects. So for middle school, we cover the physical, the earth and space, and life science. And then all the state standards that we are aligned to, including NGSS. And we have more state standards coming. We keep constantly adding more. And you can see an example of some of the most watched high school videos here. And on your little sidebar here is your navigation. So we have our Explore bar that you can search quickly. You have your high school content, your middle school content. You can look at the standards, and then the playlist like Carrie was talking about. Playlists, or you can do a playlist aligned to your curriculum. And that's where you can find the textbooks, and go in there and find your textbook. And then you have favorites, and then your quizzes. And then we also have accessibility features for most of your accommodations on a 504 or IEP, as well as text to speech. So that's just a quick little demo of our platform. Right, right now for the fall, we are offering free pilots for middle schools. Since we are right now still building the content for middle schools, it will be completed by December or January. So for the fall, we're providing free pilots. So if you would like a demo and a free pilot for your middle schools, please scan the QR code that you see on the screen. And remember, coming soon, we do have the free AI tools that will help create lesson plans, slide presentations, worksheets, and quizzes with multiple types of questions, because right now the quizzes just generate multiple choice questions. And so with the AI tools, you'll have multiple types of questions that can match your state standards. So scan the QR code if you would like to do that. And if you would like to start filling your curriculum gaps today, please scan the code for a 15-minute demo with Jove. You'll be matched with your representative, and you'll get on a virtual demonstration meeting with them, and they will walk you through the Jove platform in more detail, because obviously I did not show everything that you could see in that little quick demo that I had. So there's a lot more to it. And so if you'd like to have a demo, you can scan this QR code and you will get an email to get a meeting scheduled.
There's also a link in the chat for it too. So if you don't want to scan the QR code, you can click the link in the chat to do that as well.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, no problem. And somebody did ask, do we integrate with Clever? Yes, we can integrate with Clever.
Yes,
and we have one more poll.
Yep. We have one more poll. So the last poll question in the chat, would you like to have a personalized demo of Jove? Thank you so much for your time today. Carrie and I'll let Carrie talk, but thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed our presentation. And if you have any questions, you have our contact information. Carrie and Richmond, and then Karen Summerhauser. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, it's fun. I was just gonna say, yeah, you've got our LinkedIn's there as well. So if you'd like to connect with us on LinkedIn, you'll get a lot of updates from Jove there as well. Thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to attend.